Hey guys, just a reminder, this is not official medical advice. For such, please seek an appointment with a licensed medical provider.
Hi, this is Dr. Tom Rogers coming to you with a weekly podcast of the Common Sense MD. Today it's really kind of a blessing to have this guy here beside me because his name is Ben Blessing. And we met just recently because I was introduced to some of his products that he works for a company called Kingsway. Now, if you lived and grew up around the Tri-Cities like I did, my father was a physician, knew of King Pharmaceuticals, which is a little bit, it almost morphed into this thing. You may have heard about the brothers, the Gregory brothers, that kind of acquired a lot of that business. And this is actually one of the Gregory relatives.
Yeah.
In a way, you're a second generation Gregory.
Yeah, nephew. Yep.
Or nephew. So it turns out that, and I've never met the Gregory family or brothers, but I've always heard such great things about them, how spiritual they are and how giving and what a great family it is. And so you're a part of that now, and now you're involved in these great products that I use that are over the counter. And you actually had sent me some of this stuff, and every time I get an itch, I use their itch cream. But they've got some cool formulations that you can talk about in a minute. But first of all, tell me a little bit about your mission. We were talking earlier, and I mean, this is all for good.
Yeah.
Your name is appropriate because you're like a blessing to a lot of people. So tell me a little bit about your journey, how you came into this.
Yeah, so I started my career in mergers and acquisitions. I really fell in love with because like you said, we grew up with the King story as kids, and we saw how you could acquire things, and through acquiring things and using debt instruments, you could also hire people. And then I got to really see the bond and the joy that my family had of like, it's not about staff and employer, it's about family. You know, we actually say at our office, we spend more time together than we do with our own families. And so like it's really important about leaning into that. And so I really enjoyed the buying and the selling, but with the Blue Emu acquisition in 2014, I actually came off, as they jokingly say, came off the road because I started having a family of my own. And I just needed to find a route. And when I found the ability to understand, okay, for me, life is data. Everything is data driven. And so marketing works the same way. Data and clinical trials works the same way. For me, it's all about how do we have a successful organization that can just supply jobs? And that's always been our mission, is supplying jobs in the area. Because I grew up with family that supplied 4,000 jobs. Now, we supply 35. I'm very proud of that number. But it's always about like, what can we do to better the organization to just supply more jobs?
Mm-hmm. And you told me you even have a chaplain that works with you, which to me, and you have prayer, and you're doing this for the right reasons. So I really admire that.
I'll tell you this little story. We started monthly prayer meetings at the office 16 months ago, 17 months now. And I tell this in ministry a lot, was every month that we started, Lord laid it on my heart, and I was like, absolutely, I'll do it. Every month we had prayer meetings, something was going wrong. Something was going wrong. And I was like, and you start doing this thing where you're like, hey, are you watching what's happening here? And it's like getting worse, and it's getting worse, and it's almost like this challenge all the time. Are you going to keep showing up like I told you to? Yeah, I'm not expecting anything, but at some point, like I thought this would end in a crescendo for me. And I think the Lord uses your personality traits against you sometimes. I'm a very stubborn individual. So yes, it took 16 months of prayer meetings before he honored that. And he did. We don't have it in front of us right now, but we won a product at Target. And then the same day behind that, we won product of the year on the same product that won Target. And it was just like blessings were just, they say the old hymn, all blessings flow. We were just watching it happen. We were like, okay, I get it now. Like I'm showing up now. And you want to believe that prayer meeting got a lot bigger that next month.
I bet it did. Prayer works. There's no doubt. I tell all my patients.
It work. People seeing prayer work was amazing.
You know, we of course pray for our patients on a daily basis,
amazing.
And it's better than anything I can do as a doctor. But so you have a really interesting story. Really, folks, if you've grown up around here, and a lot of people that are listening from all over the country and the world, you don't realize how big an operation Bristol, Tennessee has been over the last 100 years or more with pharmaceuticals, from SmithKline Beecham and Massengill and King, and it's just phenomenal what we have in our backyard here. So let's get into these creams and products that you have that I love personally because I've used them. I would never do anything to a patient I wasn't willing to do to myself. And I've tested every one of these personally, and they all help. So tell me, what's the number one? Why do you call it Blue Emu? I mean, a lot of people have heard of Blue Emu. Tell me how you came up with that name.
So I'm going to give you the business answer that's not as an enjoyable one, but I don't know. We bought it that way. When I acquired the brand in 2014, I told you when I first met you was part of my job is to know a brand more than the people selling it. And that may sound arrogant, but that's the only way that you're going to buy something well is you need to be running circles around the person selling it. And this is what we saw. I don't care what it's named. People are reviewing this thing in amazing ways. There are people putting up pain pills for this product. Like the reviews we were seeing was just like, it could be called Purple Emu for all I care. If it seems like people that use this are not taking medication anymore. That's amazing. And so the original owners got it from, there was a product in the early 2000s that was called Blue something. And it was an emu-based cream. It used menthol. And they just kind of took that name. It's an emu-based formula. That's what I try to tell people. Most of our Blue Emu products aren't blue anymore. Because you're a doctor. Yeah, there's no point in having dye in your product. Yeah. A lot of people thought there was points. There's no point in having
getting dyes out of everything.
Yeah,
plus, this stuff is odorless.
Yeah, and so that was kind of our thing. The emu oil is the most fascinating thing. Is we've actually done clinical trials on cadaver skin, and we were able to show that emu oil in the concentration we use in that product actually shut off the TNF-A alpha receptors in the skin. Wow. And so you have proof that the ingredient can help with inflammation. And so why does it work? Inflammation is one of the worst killers of people right now.
That's right. Tumor necrosis factors, TNF. Yeah. People don't know that, but it's certainly a big term that we use in integrated medicine every day. So if you can quell that down, I mean, you're and keeping inflammation out of your body. I say this a million times. Inflammation causes all diseases. Whether it's on the inside or the outside, it's just not just your skin or your joints, but it's your organs. So Blue Emu started out, and how long has it been around?
So this has been offered through retail markets since 2010. We've owned it since 2014. But when we bought it, the only thing that really existed was the jar, was just the 4-ounce jar. When we got a hold of it, we started releasing a lot of stuff out of it.
You guys have seen this, I'm sure.
So that's usually with the way the presentation people see us. This one was an interesting product launch we did because in the monograph, so we're regulated by the FDA. Anytime there's drug fact panels, there are certain rules and regulations you have to abide by. This ingredient is trolamine salicylate. And I always like to tell people it this way. It's like menthol salicylate. They're both the same thing, what you find in like an Icy Hot or a Salon Pause. They're just wearing different hats, right? Mine's wearing a trolamine hat. Theirs is wearing a methyl hat. Okay. The reason that's important to the story is their methyl hat has an odor. Yep. My trolamine hat does not have an odor. And so all it is it's a topical aspirin plus the emu oil for the inflammation, and now you have an amazing pain product. So this was actually, we used to have a deal with the Arthritis Foundation. This product is fantastic for arthritis. It is a fantastic product.
That's why I use it.
Yeah. We also have a product that's not in front of us. It's a lidocaine product. We, as silly as it sounds, ideas come to you in the weirdest way. I was shining my shoes one night, and I was using one of those shoe shiners that have the sponge tops on them. Yeah. And I was sitting here, and I was shining, and I was like, well, that's cool. And I was like, because at the time, lidocaine was on the market, but they were all in people putting it on their hands. And I was like, oh, and it just kind of like one of these epiphany. You're like, oh my gosh. And so we actually have a patent on our lidocaine product because no one else is allowed to have a CR lid. And so lidocaine, oh, thank you. Lidocaine has a child-proof lid, which requires it, and then it's got the sponge top. And so, because I'm a nerd, I don't want to touch lidocaine. See? So,
that is my favorite part of that product.
Isn't it great?
When I first undid that, because I want the little lidocaine.
I can see you've been using it, too.
I've been using it because this thing, it scrunches down, and it comes out. You squirt it, it comes out, and then you rub it on like your neck or your hand.
I love it.
But that thing is my favorite thing about your whole product is that sponge top. You should get a patent on that.
Using it. I love it.
I definitely use it. So, and this is my favorite product that has a little bit of lidocaine in it. You know, when you're 70 years old, you're going to have some aches and pains. If you're my age and you don't wake up in the morning hurting somewhere, you check your pulse and make sure you're still alive. So, because you can hurt yourself in bed, but just rolling over. But anyway, I love this. This is probably my favorite one. Now, I love your itch product too.
Yeah.
I was telling you, I keep it around outside because I get eaten up by mosquitoes. And I also tend to have a little atopic dermatitis, so I'll get dry skin, it'll itch. I just spray a little bit of that stuff on there, and try not to scratch it.
Yep.
You know, if you start scratching your itch, it makes it a lot worse. And there's actually some benefits to that, but it always makes it worse. So if you can put something on there and not dig into it with your fingernails, you won't spread that histamine reaction, we call it.
Yeah, you know, the itch product, it's called PBZ. It's not here, but the PBZ product, it's...
I have it over there.
Okay, yeah. So what's so unique about it, I didn't realize this, but as a doctor, I'm sure you're very aware of this, is you're not supposed to use topical Benadryl with oral Benadryl. Something about heptans, it gets really sciencey, and I don't know about past that. And what's unique about triple-enamine is it is an antihistamine just like diphenhydramine. There are studies out there that show it is 6 times more potent.
Definitely more potent than Benadryl.
Yeah, definitely more. And you can take it, I'm sure after COVID, the diphenhydramine sleep aid market exploded. Yeah. You have ZQuil on the market for $20 for 5 capsules when you can go get a 40 count from Costco for $7 or a 400 count of It's the same thing. I always tell people, if you're taking Benadryl to go to bed, go buy the cheap stuff. It's all the same. But I digress. Everyone's taking diphenhydramine to sleep, and I didn't realize that using topical Benadryl, topical diphenhydramine is actually dangerous. I had no idea.
I don't like the topical Benadryl because it just doesn't work very well. If you take the oral, it'll work, but it'll make you really drowsy. But I like a lot of topical preparations because anything you put on your skin gets in your system. Yep. It's just a little safer because it doesn't have to, have that first pass effect through your liver. So it's more direct. Why should you take a pill for your whole body when you're just hurting in your knee?
Systematic versus localized. We don't need to treat the knee by treating the whole body. Yeah.
Agree 100%. So I'm always big on topical medication. So what else do you have here? You have this other one?
Hey, so Bikini Zone may seem like a silly brand. Like, why do you own a pain relief cream and then a Bikini Zone brand? All I can tell you is my background in mergers and acquisitions. That's what happened. We found a good buy, and because of buying this brand, I was able to hire 4 more people on staff. And that's the way I looked at it was, okay, I can buy this brand, I can buy it and make the payment on it every month, hire 4 more people, keep staff going, utilize my distribution center more. And a lot in my business too is my greatest asset as an organization is my access to retail. Like, I have conversations with Target. I talk to Walmart. I talk to Walgreens. And so now you buy more brands, you walk in, and now you're talking to them about Blue Emu and Bikini Zone. And now and we also an EPT pregnancy test. So I'm talking to the feminine health side of the businesses too. So we're doing ovulation tests. We have an ovulation test that I adore. It didn't just tell you if you were ovulating or not. It told you where you were on the curve.
Wow.
Because a lot of women are on the downside of their ovulation curve and they think they're on the front side, and there's no way they're getting pregnant. And so we actually were able to statistically show them where they were in their curve. And so anything I can walk into Walmart with that has good science behind it, I'm always going to be for it. So whether that's shaving your Bikini Zone or dealing with ingrown hairs from shaving or itching or arthritis relief, I'm kind of game for it.
You kind of cover a lot of areas, don't you? You're right, though, about the products that are over the counter now. They're so much better than we used to have. I mean, these things are potent. They work. Yep. They're safe. I wouldn't be recommending them if they weren't safe. Where can you get these products?
So the Blue Emu line is at Walmart. It depends on what Walmart you're going to walk into. This one is at every Walmart you would walk into. Mm-hmm. And so this is probably how most people are used to seeing us, because this is not at just Walmart. It's at Safeway. It's at H-E-B in Texas. I mean, it's a nationwide brand. The Max and Lido are in about 1,000 Walmarts. Bikini Zone, this one's in every Walmart. This is in some of the Walmarts. This one is in Target. This actually starts selling in Target next week. And so
that's your newest product.
this is
right?
this was important for me as an organization too, because this was an in-house launch. So I told you I'm a mergers and acquisition. I like to buy existing brands and get them going again. This was brought out of our own house. So we came up with the formulation, we came up with the brand name, so we have no sunk money in this. We have pure profit now of winning the account.
That is a great itch product, and I'll tell you, itching to me is almost worse than pain.
Oh, I agree.
I'd almost rather hurt than itch.
Yeah.
Walmart. Speaking of Walmart. That's a big organization.
It is.
Was it hard to get these products in there?
It is. We call it speed dating. I get to see my Walmart rep twice a year for 15 minutes, and we literally will sit down, and it's talk as fast as you can. They talk as fast as they can, and you're just flipping through it.
Do you go down to Bentonville?
Yeah, we go to Bentonville, and we go sit in front of them, and we'll see them at a trade show once or twice maybe. But it really is. We talk about prayer. There's a lot of prayer that go into those meetings, because when you realize on the surface, like, oh, this really is like a crapshoot. Yeah, this is wild. Like I've got to sell them on $1 million worth of ideas in 15 minutes. Yeah,
that is amazing. I'm familiar with Walmart because several years ago I was asked to. They flew me down to Bentonville to talk to their executive team about men's health. And I'll tell you, if you want to see an impressive little town with all these huge buildings and thousands of employees in these cubicles, it's just so impressive that I'll never forget it. They're tech savvy.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they know what they're doing, and it's all worth it because they deliver great products at neat prices.
I mean, I know a lot of people are anti that, but I read they challenged us when I first met with Walmart in 2014. I got exposed to the whole world. The buyer actually challenged me to read the Sam Walton book, and I was like, sure, this sounds fun. Literally changed my life. Watching how he brought it on, and he had this comment. He had two things that he said made him successful. Was one, he never created anything. He said he just took what everyone else was doing and made it his own. And I really enjoyed that. And then they also talk, because that's kind of what we do. Is Lord, I would love divine wisdom, but like I can look around and see a lot of wisdom. And I really thought that was unique. And then he told the story about how his dad was he used to build cabinets. He used to build kitchen cabinets. And one of the things about his dad was his dad always painted the wall behind the cabinets. And that always kind of sat with me was, oh, that's above and beyond work. That's Jesus work in my mind. That's Jesus calls us to carry the Roman soldiers' armor not for 1 mile, but an additional mile. And I really like that. And I'm not saying Sam, I don't know his faith, but I really kind of spoke to me of like, oh yeah, that's what makes you different. Is like this may be a jar. I don't know if this is one of them, but we actually put Bible verses on our jars on all of our products.
I have never noticed that.
We're not hiding them, but we're also not being blatant about it. That's Matthew 10:32. Well,
you should be proud of your faith.
And so,
when I was down in Bentonville, of course, I went downtown. I also went to that great museum that had all these famous. It's second to the Louvre.
Great museum. They got the Ford truck in there and everything. It was great.
But they had all these displays of Sam Walton when he was just starting out in retail, and they showed things that people had brought back that they automatically gave their money back. And one of them I'll never forget because I played tennis was a tennis racket that they had sold at Walmart back in the early days. It wasn't called Walmart at that point, but that racket was just smashed to blithering. Somebody just got so mad, like tennis players tend to do sometimes. And the excuse that the client brought it back for, the racket slipped out of my hand.
Oh, is that?
But of course they took it back because they had the customer's always right attitude. So, I mean, he grew that thing from nothing to the most famous company in the world, I guess.
Now I have a question for you then. Are you a pickleball guy?
I play it every day. I play tonight. Yeah.
So we sponsored, because of the whole thing, we got the Pickler. It's like a Top Golf for pickleball.
Yeah,
we put all of our products in the pickler because I knew the pickleball world was going to explode. And sure,
the one that was in Bristol last year.
Yeah.
I went to it.
Yeah, see?
They're the world's best players, Ben Johns and
I don't know anything about the world. I just know my son loves the game, and we sponsor some of the events.
that was a world famous pickleball event.
Was that? Oh,
they actually
cool.
played right in front of my office in the street.
How cool.
I have an office on State Street on the Virginia side in Bristol, and they set a court up right outside my office, fortunately. And half the pickleball court was in Tennessee, half was in Virginia.
That's so
So they had these professional players just giving a demo on Saturday night.
How cool.
Of course, then they had the tournament that weekend. But yeah, it's again this year. You guys going to be there?
Oh yeah, and I forgot you have a office. So your office is actually near our office downtown. We love downtown Bristol.
Me too.
I love the owners, Janet Atwell and her wife that owns State Line. They are we mom to me is Janet
Awesome.
Atwell has taken care of me for more years than I care to admit. But that owns Borderline. If you don't know Borderline down there, the pool hall. Yeah, I'd start because I take my walks on lunch. I always take my walks downtown.
You go right by our office.
I go right by your office all the time.
Right by our office. But that's a great downtown. You know, we live in just such a great area.
Oh, I love this area.
I wouldn't move for anything. I love it. Absolutely love it.
My son's leaving for college, and he's going to Florida, and he's always asking me. He's like, "Dad, would you ever leave Bristol?" I'm like, "Bro, I really like where I'm at. Like,
would you?
Yeah, I'm not leaving. I'll come visit you, but I'm not leaving Bristol."
I like to travel, but I'm always anxious to get back here because
Yeah.
I just feel safer.
Yeah.
I feel more relaxed. Life is easier.
Yeah.
But we do have a lot of great stuff in this area, and including Kingsway.
Yeah.
I mean, I love what you're doing here.
Thank you.
I endorse these products wholeheartedly. I've used them,
thank you.
and they work,
Thank you.
and they're very safe. So, Ben Blessing, thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
I'm going
This
to have
has
you
been
back
fun.
on here.
Absolutely.
You'll have new products, and we'll talk. And go check some of this Blue Emu.
There you
It's
go. There you
amazing
go.
products.
Thank you.
We'll see you guys next
Thank
week.
y'all. Thank you.